Previously. After Bryn walked away from Vesper to protect Marlowe, they finally kissed in the abandoned railway depot at sunset. They decided to start over together, building something new as equal partners. 2 weeks later, the morning light filtered through Marlowe's apartment window. She woke up on her couch, Bryn's head on her shoulder, surrounded by sketches and menu plans they'd been working on until 3 a.m. For exactly 12 seconds, everything was perfect. Then her phone rang.
Marlowe Davis, this is Inspector Chen from Austin Health Department. We're at your truck location for a mandatory inspection. You need to be here now. Her stomach dropped. What? I wasn't scheduled for anonymous complaint. We're required to investigate immediately. You have 20 minutes to get here, or we're issuing citations in absentia. Bryn stirred awake. What's wrong? I have to go. Health inspection. Unscheduled. Marlowe was already grabbing her keys, panic rising. I'll come with you. No, you can't be seen with me yet. The internet is still... Marlowe gestured vaguely at the chaos their relationship would cause. I'll call you after. She kissed Bryn quickly and ran. Marlowe arrived at her truck, breathless, to find Inspector Chen and 2 assistants already inside, clipboards out, gloves on. You're 3 minutes late. That's noted. For the next 2 hours, they tore apart everything, every surface, every container, every corner of the truck that had been her grandmother's legacy, her life, her home. Inspector Chen's face was unreadable as he wrote, and wrote, and wrote. Miss Davis, I'm citing you for 14 violations, 3 critical. You're hereby ordered to cease all food service operations until remediation is complete and you pass re-inspection. What? No, that's impossible. My truck is immaculate. I clean it every single night. Inadequate temperature logs for refrigeration unit number 2. Inconsistent documentation on unit 3. Improper storage configuration of raw ingredients in the lower left compartment. Window seal degradation creating potential pest entry point. Operating during unpermitted hours with an unlicensed food handler present. How do you know about... She stopped. These weren't things you'd see on a casual inspection. These were technical violations, things only someone with deep industry knowledge would know to look for. Who reported me? Anonymous tips are confidential. Please, this truck is my entire life. My grandmother built this business. If you shut me down, I lose everything. Please, just tell me who... Inspector Chen's expression softened slightly. The complaint was extremely detailed. Specific refrigeration unit numbers, exact locations of potential violations, technical terminology about health codes. This wasn't a random complaint. Someone with professional culinary experience made this call. Bryn. He was describing someone who knew the technical side of kitchen operations intimately. But who would know the specific details of her truck setup? Who would know about Bryn's late-night visits and the exact refrigeration units and storage configurations? Someone who'd trained professional chefs for decades. Oh God, Celestine.
Marlowe called Bryn 12 times. No answer. She finally texted, Your mentor reported my truck. I'm shut down. We need to talk. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, that's impossible. Celestine wouldn't. She's the only one who knew. The inspector described her perfectly. I'm coming over. Marlowe sat in her dark truck, surrounded by violation notices, trying not to cry. Everything she'd worked for, her grandmother's legacy, the only thing she had to offer Bryn as a partner, gone. When Bryn arrived, she looked wrecked. I called Celestine. She admitted it. What? She said she was protecting me, that I was throwing away my career for, her words, an infatuation with someone who'll hold you back. She knew exactly what technical violations to point them toward: temperature logs, storage protocols, permitting issues, things that would shut you down but that you could fix. She said she thought if your truck was closed temporarily, you'd realize you couldn't support a partnership with me, that I'd come to my senses. Marlowe laughed bitterly. Support a partnership? I have nothing now. No income, no business. She got exactly what she wanted. Marlowe, she's right, isn't she? What was I thinking? That we'd magically build a restaurant together? I'm a food truck owner with 14 health violations. You're a James Beard nominee. This was delusional. Stop! We'll fight this. We'll fix the violations. With what money? Do you know how much the repairs will cost? The re-inspection fees? I have maybe $3,000 saved. That'll cover half the refrigeration unit alone. Bryn reached for her. Marlowe stepped back. I need to think. Alone. Please. The hurt on Bryn's face was devastating. But Marlowe couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't face the woman who represented everything she'd never be.
2 days of silence. Marlowe ignored Bryn's calls while she got quotes for repairs. Each number was worse than the last. Total cost to remediate and pass re-inspection, $18,000. She had $3,200 in savings. She was researching business loans she'd never qualify for when Bryn finally showed up at her apartment, soaked from the rain, holding an envelope. You can't ignore me forever. I'm not ignoring you. I'm drowning, and I don't want you to watch. Bryn handed her the envelope. Open it. Inside, a check for $50,000 from Celestine Harper. What the hell is this? Her apology and her attempt to fix what she broke. She liquidated some investments. She wants to fund the repairs and give us seed money for... Absolutely not. I don't want her blood money. Marlowe, be practical. Practical? She tried to destroy me. She thinks I'm not good enough for you, and you know what? Maybe she's right. But I won't prove it by taking her charity. Then take mine. Marlowe froze. I have money from selling my shares of Vespa. Not a lot, but enough. Let me invest in us, in the dream we mapped out. So I can be your project, the street food chef you elevate. That's not fair, isn't it? Everyone in your life thinks I'm dragging you down. Your mentor, probably your friends, the food critics who worshipped you. And deep down, Bryn, don't you wonder if they're right? The silence was awful. I should go, Bryn whispered.
After she left, Marlowe cried the way she hadn't since her grandmother died. Not delicate tears, ugly, broken sobs that shook her whole body, the kind that came from losing something irreplaceable. She'd finally found someone who saw her, really saw her, and she was pushing her away because she was terrified of being the anchor that drowned them both.
Bryn didn't call for 3 days. When she finally did, her voice was strange, formal. I need to tell you something, in person. Can we meet at the depot? They sat on opposite sides of the space that was supposed to be their future. The building looks different now, less like possibility and more like a grave for a dream that died too soon. I got an offer. Executive chef position at 11 Madison Park, New York. It's one of the most prestigious positions in the country. Marlowe's heart stopped. When do they want you to start? 3 weeks. They're doing a complete concept refresh. They want me to lead it. The salary it's more than I made at Vespa. Enough to actually build something stable. Enough to... She couldn't finish. Enough to not need a food truck owner with health violations. That's not what I was going to say. But it's true. Marlowe forced herself to smile. You should take it. Just like that. Bryn, we tried. We had a beautiful moment. But reality is, this isn't sustainable. You can't build a future on midnight arancini and stolen kisses. You need stability, recognition, things I can't give you. What if I don't want those things? You say that now.
But in 6 months? A year? When you're still helping me fight health inspectors while your career dies, you'll resent me, and I can't watch that happen. Bryn stood abruptly. You're a coward. Excuse me? You're so scared of not being enough that you're sabotaging us before we even start. You talk about your grandmother's bravery coming to America with nothing, but you won't even fight for this, for us. I'm being realistic. You're being terrified. There's a difference. Bryn's voice cracked. I walked away from everything for you. My restaurant, my reputation, my mentor. And the first time things get hard, you fold. You push me away. You decide for both of us that we can't work. Because we can't. Look at the math, Bryn. I have no truck, no income, no prospects. You have a once-in-a-lifetime offer that'll set your entire career. I don't care about my career. The words echoed in the empty depot. I don't, Bryn repeated quieter. Not the way everyone thinks I should. Not more than I care about building something real with someone who makes me feel like I'm finally myself. But apparently, you care more about my career than you care about fighting for us. She walked toward the door, then stopped. I'm taking the offer, not because I want to, because you're right. I can't build a future with someone who doesn't believe we have one. Good luck with your repairs, Marlowe. I hope you find someone brave enough to deserve you. She left. Marlowe stood alone in the depot, surrounded by blueprints for a restaurant that would never exist, and finally let herself break completely.
1 week later, Marlowe was working 3 catering gigs under the table just to make rent. Her truck sat in a storage lot, still unfixed. She'd applied for loans, all rejected. She was carrying groceries up to her apartment when she saw someone sitting on her doorstep. Celestine Harper. Looking smaller somehow. Older. You have 30 seconds before I call the cops, Marlowe sent flatly. I deserve that. I deserve much worse. Celestine stood slowly. May I explain? There's nothing to explain. You tried to destroy my business because you don't think I'm good enough for Bryn, because I watched my daughter make the same mistake. Marlowe paused, key in her door. My daughter, Bryn's mother, was a brilliant chef, truly gifted. She fell in love with a man who worked construction. Good man, kind. But he didn't understand her world, didn't push her. She gave up a Michelin-star kitchen to support his dreams, opened a small cafe, was happy for a while. Celestine's voice wavered. Then she got sick, cancer. The medical bills bankrupted them. Her ex-husband, he tried, but he couldn't navigate that world, couldn't advocate for her with doctors, couldn't fight insurance companies. She died at 42, and her last words to me were, I wish I'd been braver. I'm not him, Marlowe said quietly. I know, but when I saw Bryn willing to throw away everything again, for love, for connection, for something intangible, I panicked. I thought I was protecting her from my daughter's fate. Instead, I recreated it. I became the thing that made her give up what she loved. Celestine handed Marlowe a folder. This is the deed to the depot. It was my building. I bought it years ago as an investment. I'd planned to give it to Bryn when she was ready. Now I'm giving it to you both. No strings, no repayment. Consider it both an apology and an inheritance from a mother who failed. Marlowe stared at the papers. Why? Because Bryn chose you. And my daughter taught me that when someone extraordinary chooses love over ambition, you don't sabotage them. You support them, even if you're terrified they're making a mistake. Especially then. She's going to New York. Is she? Celestine's smile was sad. Have you asked her? Or did you decide for her, like I decided for my daughter? She left Marlowe holding the deed to their future, finally understanding what Bryn meant. She'd been so terrified of not being enough that she'd pushed away the person who chose her anyway.
Marlowe sat in her apartment, staring at the deed, at her phone, at the mess she'd made. She called the one person who might help. "Celestine, I need you to tell me everything about New York, about the offer, about when Bryn's supposed to leave." "Why?" "Because I'm done being terrified, and I need a plan." 2 days later, Marlowe stood in front of 11 Madison Park in Manhattan. She'd maxed out her credit card for the flight, wore her one nice outfit, looked completely out of place among the limestone and elegance. She walked in like she belonged there. "I'm here to see Chef Hum. Tell him Marlowe Davies is here about his new executive chef." The hostess looked skeptical but made a call. 5 minutes later, a tall man in chef's whites appeared. "Ms. Davies? Unexpected. You have 5 minutes." "I need 10, and you're going to want to hear this." She followed him to a private dining room, her heart hammering. "Your new executive chef, Bryn Castellano, she's brilliant. You know that. But do you know why she's accepting your offer?" "I assume because it's the opportunity of a lifetime." "She's accepting it because she's running away from the best idea she's ever had. And if you hire her like this, you'll get a technically perfect chef who's hollow inside. I've seen it. I've tasted her food when she's just performing. It's beautiful and empty." Chef Hum leaned back. "Bold accusation." "I'm not done. What if instead of hiring her as your executive chef, you invested in something better? A new concept, in Austin, where she actually wants to be. A restaurant that bridges everything you claim to care about: technique, soul, accessibility, innovation." She pulled out the plans she and Bryn had sketched, the menu ideas, the philosophy. "It's called Confluence, and it'll change the conversation about American cuisine. But she can't build it alone. She needs a partner, an equal, someone who challenges her to be more than technically perfect. You. Me. A food truck owner with 14 health violations and $3,000 in savings. I know how it sounds, but I'm not asking you to believe in me. I'm asking you to believe in what we can build together." Chef Hum studied the papers. "Why are you here instead of telling her this yourself?" "Because I pushed her away. I was terrified of holding her back. And now she's about to take a job she doesn't want because I convinced her we couldn't work. I'm here to unconvince her, but I need your help." "What exactly do you want from me?" "Release her from the offer. No penalty, no hard feelings. And if you really believe in innovative American cuisine, invest in Confluence. Not as a charity, as a business, because it'll be the most talked about restaurant in the country within a year." The silence stretched. "You have extraordinary audacity." "I'm in love with an extraordinary woman. It tends to make you brave." Chef Hum smiled. "She's supposed to start in 6 days. Housing is arranged. Contract is signed." Marlowe's heart sank. "But," he continued, "I've been in this business 40 years, and I've learned that the best cuisine comes from chefs who are exactly where they want to be. Bryn's been distracted, sad, not herself. Now I understand why." He extended his hand. "I'll release her from the contract, and I'll consider investing in your concept, on one condition. Anything. You actually convince her to say yes, because if she gets on that plane in 6 days, the offer stands, and you've wasted both our time. Deal."
Marlowe flew back to Austin with less than a week to do the impossible. Show Bryn they could build a future together. The first thing she did was call Celestine. "I'm ready to accept your apology and your help, but on my terms." 20 minutes later, they sat in a coffee shop with the $50,000 check on the table between them. "I need $18,000 for the truck repairs and re-inspection," Marlowe said. "The rest goes into creating something at the depot. Not a finished restaurant. I know that's impossible, but a beginning."
Something real enough that Bryn can see what we're building. Celestine nodded. What do you need from me besides money? Everything you know about permits, contractors, equipment suppliers, and your hands if you're willing. I am willing. They shook hands. Two women who'd hurt the same person trying to build something beautiful enough to earn forgiveness.
With $32,000 and 5 days, Marlowe made a plan. She couldn't renovate the massive depot. That would take months and hundreds of thousands more. But she could claim one corner of it and make it theirs. She called in every favor, every friend, every regular customer who had ever said her food changed their life. I need help, whatever you can give. Time, skills, connections. I can't pay much, but I promise you'll be part of something that matters. They came. Students, artists, construction workers, line cooks from other restaurants, even some of Bryn's old Vespa staff who'd heard what happened and wanted to help. For 5 days straight, they worked on a single corner of the massive space, maybe 1,500 square feet of the depot's sprawling interior. They cleared debris and swept broken glass from their section, hired an electrician to make one area safely wired, then strung warm Edison bulbs across the exposed beams. The graffiti-covered brick walls stayed untouched. They were part of the story. The soaring arched windows needed no improvement. They let in light like a cathedral. They built a simple prep station from reclaimed wood, arranged mismatched tables and chairs they'd collected from yard sales and restaurant closures, left the industrial bones of the space raw and honest. Marlowe's truck, freshly repaired and gleaming, was positioned as the centerpiece. It looked right at home against the weathered brick and broken windows, like it had always belonged there. On day 3, Celestine appeared with professional equipment from her storage unit, prep tables, a commercial mixer, quality knives. Consider it a donation. They worked side by side, building something that was equal parts finished and unfinished, polished and raw, just like Marlowe and Bryn themselves. On the 6th day, 12 hours before Bryn's flight, everything was ready. Almost everything. Marlowe sent one text. Before you leave, come to the depot. One last time, please. Bryn didn't respond. Marlowe waited in the transformed space, surrounded by flowers from the garden Bryn had grown, candles everywhere, the smell of slowly simmering sauce filling the air. 7 p.m. Bryn's flight was at 8 a.m. tomorrow. 8 p.m. Still nothing. 9 p.m. Marlowe started to accept that she'd lost. At 9:47 p.m., the depot door opened. Bryn stood backlit by streetlights, wearing jeans and an old Vespa hoodie, her hair down for once. She looked tired, guarded. You texted. You came. I shouldn't have. But Bryn stepped inside anyway, then stopped.
The corner of the massive depot had been transformed, not polished, but purposeful. Warm Edison bulbs strung across exposed beams cast a golden glow over the weathered brick and graffiti-covered walls. Marlowe's food truck gleamed at the center of the intimate space, surrounded by mismatched reclaimed wood tables and chairs. The towering arched windows let in streetlight, and somehow the broken glass and industrial bones made it feel more honest, more real. Beyond their corner, the rest of the depot stretched into darkness, a reminder of how much work still lay ahead. And everywhere in their small claimed space were details that showed Marlowe had been paying attention. Bryn's favourite herbs in simple pots along the prep station, candles on every surface, music playing softly, the jazz from the night they first cooked together. "What is this?" Bryn whispered. "Proof that I was wrong, that we can build something, that you weren't delusional for believing in us. I was delusional for not believing." Marlowe led her to the simple prep station they'd built beside the truck, where mise en place was perfectly arranged. "I've been terrified my whole life that I'm just preserving my grandmother's legacy instead of adding to it, that I'm playing it safe by hiding behind tradition. You were right. I am a coward, but not about my career." She took Bryn's hands. "I'm coward about this, about us. Because loving you means risking everything. It means being vulnerable. It means accepting that maybe I don't have to be self-sufficient and perfect to be worth choosing. And that terrifies me more than any health inspector or financial disaster or judgmental mentor ever could. Marlowe, let me finish. You got offered your dream job, and I convinced you to take it because I was scared. Not scared you to fail, scared you'd succeed and realize you didn't need me, that I was just an experiment, a break from real life before you went back to your real world. Tears streamed down Marlowe's face. But you never treated this like an experiment. You quit Vespa. You fought your investors. You defended me when I couldn't defend myself. You chose me over everything. And I paid you back by deciding you were wrong, by deciding I knew better than you what you needed. So, what changed? Bryn's voice was careful, hurt. Celestine told me about your mother, about watching her give up everything and wondering, what if? And I realized I don't want to be your regret, the safe choice you made because everyone said we couldn't work. I want to be your choice, the brave one, the one where we fight and fail and maybe lose everything, but at least we tried, together. Marlowe gestured at the space. I can't give you 11 Madison Park. I can't give you prestige or security or any of the things you deserve. But I can give you this, a partner who'll show up every single day, who'll fight for us even when it's hard, who'll choose you back constantly, even when I'm terrified. She pulled out a menu, handwritten, beautiful, their names together at the top. This is Confluence, the restaurant we dreamed up. The deed is ours, free and clear. Celestine gave it to us. I used the money she offered to fix my truck and create this beginning. It's not finished. We'll need months to get permits, find investors, build out a real kitchen, renovate the rest of this massive space. But the concept is here. The foundation is ours. And we can do this. Together. If you want. Bryn stared at the menu, tears falling onto the pages. You built this in 6 days? I had help. Turns out a lot of people believe in us, even when we didn't believe in ourselves. This isn't the finished restaurant, it's the promise of one. I'm scared, Bryn admitted. What if Celestine is right? What if I'm making the same mistake my mother made? What if love isn't enough? It's not, Marlowe said honestly. Love isn't enough. We also need work, communication, compromise, separate bank accounts and a really good therapist and probably several screaming fights about the proper way to season a meatball. Bryn laughed through tears. But here's what I know. My grandmother didn't come to America because it was safe. She came because it was possible. And this? Marlowe gestured between them. This is possible. Hard, terrifying, uncertain, but possible. And I'd rather spend my life building something imperfect with you than preserving something perfect alone. I don't know how to do this. Build something with someone. Be a partner instead of a solo act. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. Or we'll fail together. But either way, together. Bryn pulled Marlowe close, foreheads touching. I cancelled my flight this morning. What? Before I got your text. I was sitting in my apartment, packing, and I couldn't do it. Couldn't leave. Couldn't build someone else's dream when ours was right here. I was planning to call you tomorrow and apologize for saying you were a coward when I was the one running away. So we're both idiots. Completely. Bryn kissed her softly. Build this with me. For real this time. No sabotaging, no running. Just us, figuring it out as we go. Deal. Equal partners? Equal partners. They kissed again deeper this time, and their corner of the depot felt less like an empty space and more like home.